Hi, I'm Alan Smith, and you're listening to Highbury Heels.
Welcome to another episode of Highbury and Heels. The girls are back, the squad is back, and let me tell you, it's a happy Monday. If there's a gooner out there who isn't happy this Monday, they need to stand in a corner on a time out. Girls, how you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm on cloud 69 from the weekend.
Oh, you naughty girl.
I'm on cloud 89. Wouldn't that be funny?
Oh, that's a good one.
There we go. She gets it in.
Yes, you must beat that.
Of course. I'm good. I've actually had meetings and events since 5:30 a.m. since Saturday. So I've been happy despite all of that. So that's great.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm about to trounce all of you because on today's show, we have an Arsenal legend, two-time Division 1 champion, League, FA Cup, UEFA Cup Winners' Cup winner, two-time Golden Boot winner, Arsenal's top scorer for 4 consecutive seasons. He scored the winner in the 94 UEFA Cup win. He only ever received 1 yellow card his entire career. He had a sweet left foot, but boy, could he score with that right one too. A sublime first touch, and if you ask me, his headers were as good as Gabriel Batistuta's. Sky Sports commentator and the current voice of FIFA. You know him as Smudge. Welcome to the show, Arsenal legend, Alan Smith.
Okay. That is fantastic intro. I've never heard one as complimentary as that.
It's all true. It's all true.
Use it in a soundbite.
Yes,
Alan, thanks so much for joining us. You know,
Pleasure.
You've been doing the rounds talking about that infamous night at Anfield for the 89 film, directed by a very good friend of the show, Lee Dixon, who we spoke to just a few weeks ago. One thing I've really been curious, you've been asked a lot about the game and what happened in the game, but I've always wanted to know if you think that 89 team could have beaten the Invincibles.
It's one of those questions you can never answer, really, because different generations, different levels of kind of physical ability as much as anything else as the game progressed. I mean, all I can say is that we were a really good side that could play football and could mix it physically as well. We could have a scrap if the opposition wanted it that way. But no, we had some fine players in that team, and we also had a wonderful team spirit, which came in handy on the 26th of May 1989. We would socialise together. We stuck together on the pitch. We were all in it together, really. Not many of us had won a trophy at that point. Obviously, the lads had won the League Cup in 87. I mean, David O'Leary had been at the club for donkey's years without coming close to winning the title. So it was a new experience for nearly all of us and a fantastic experience.
Alan, it's Amanda, by the way.
Amanda.
Hello. I met you the night of the premiere. I was honoured to be able to interview most of you. Then I went in to watch the film, and it was the most amazing experience for someone like me, obviously, because as everyone knows, I was there. One of the things I noticed in the film was when you and Merson were talking on the pitch at Highbury. Obviously, It's not a pitch anymore, is it?
No.
And you were discussing, it was really interesting. I was talking about this. You were discussing how bad you were at Wimbledon, when we played Wimbledon. You remember 5-6 days before? One of the things I think I've never asked you or anyone, I mean, for fans, okay, I thought we were done. Absolutely finished. Don't even know why I was bothering to go to Liverpool, but we were done. I was fuming. I was on the radio that night, I think, or on the Saturday. I can't remember which one. When you walked off the pitch that night and you went and sat in the changing rooms, did any of you still think we can do this?
Not at that point, I don't think, Amanda, because I don't know if you remember, we did a lap of honour at the end of the match, as we tended to do, last home game of the season.
Yeah.
It was kind of, thanks for supporting us. Thanks for coming. We did our best, but it's not quite good enough. It was that kind of atmosphere I seem to remember, because we'd lost to Derby, hadn't we? And then we've drawn at home to Wimbledon. blown both chances to put some more points on the board, and we're thinking, well, come the crunch, we've just not been good enough. I think that was the feeling. We were really down in the dressing room, and it was only really in the days that followed the Liverpool-West Ham game, when it became clear what we've got to do at Anfield, that we began to lift our heads a little bit and think, well, we have still got a chance. We've got to give it a go.
Just one last thing on this, because I get ripped to pieces about talking about 89, wherever, on this pod, on Twitter, on social media, and I don't care, because it was the best footballing night of my life. It just was. The second best one was at the Premier. But I remember talking to Michael Thomas, and I thanked him for scoring the goal, although I did have a go at him for fluffing the first chance. And he was so humble, Alan. He said, it's not about me, it's about the whole team. And I said, I get that. But if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be standing here now talking to you. So that unity of that team. Now, jump forward to this team, bar the North London derby, which we'll go into. I don't see that unity, unfortunately. Would you say that was down to the manager, or just down to the way football's gone with the money and the globalness of it all?
A little bit of both, I'd say, Amanda. These days, I think dressing rooms are quieter places because of the different nationalities, different languages. So you don't have that, common language. You don't have that banter so much. There will be exceptions, but I think in the main, it is a quieter place. Lads, after training, disappear, go off and do their own thing. If they've got a day off, they might fly back to their homeland, see family. You can't knock them for that. Whereas we might have played golf or gone down the pub or something. It was just different. But no, I mean, Arsene Wenger's teams over the last 10 years, I suppose that's been an accusation levelled at them, that they have lacked natural leaders. They have lacked that kind of spine, that extra bit of determination that other teams have had. And as you said, they showed plenty of it in the North London derby. That occasion got them going. But you want to see that on a more regular basis. There are leaders in now, and Per Mertesacker is an obvious one, and I think Skodran Mustafi, when he first came to the club, I'd heard he was already pretty vocal in the dressing room. He spoke his mind. So you have got those characters, probably not enough though.
Right, just to finish on this, just quickly, I agree with what you've just said, but we haven't got a Tony Adams. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, we haven't got a Tony Adams.
There's not many about, are there? When you look around the other clubs, he's almost from a bygone age. That kind of character tone came through the youth ranks. He was a born leader. He was telling people what to do when he was about 13 or 14, telling grown adults what to do. I think he was just that type. And they only come along every so often, so it's difficult to try and get one in. Almost impossible, really.
Alan, what's really interesting is I think one of the things I loved about the North London derby this weekend was how no one hugged in the tunnel. I love that. Koscielny came out and he just didn't even care that Lloris is one of his best mates. And so when I go back to 89, one of the things I loved about football back then was how rivalries were true rivalries. There was no hugging, swapping shirts at halftime. But at the end of that game, Brian Moore just set it up so beautifully, the way he talked about the total dejection of the Liverpool players. What happened after that? Did they come up to you? Did they say something to you? Obviously, beforehand, no one gave us a chance that we could even have a sniff in that game. Did they show you the respect that you really deserved on the night?
Oh, at the end of the game, definitely, yeah. They were really generous. I mean, I think everybody was at Liverpool Football Club that night. Certainly the crowd were. A lot of the fans stayed to acknowledge our lap of honour and to applaud us. The Kop, I seem to remember it was still half full, which is amazing, really, when you think they've just lost the title in the last second. So the stewards on the pitch, the people behind the scenes, the bloke that stands on the players' lounge door. Because I'd got my wife and two friends, and I hadn't got 3 tickets for the players' lounge, but he just let them in. Go on, get in there. It doesn't matter. The place was empty anyway. But I think it was John Barnes and Peter Beardsley poked their heads around our dressing room door and said, "Well done." One of them brought in their crate of champagne. So, no, they were. I mean, it was a huge shock and disappointment for them, of course it was. But I thought they behaved in a really good and proper fashion on the night.
So, just going back to the film, Alan, what I was interested in, I mean, I'm sure you've seen it, the footage from various different times and different commentaries. How different was it seeing it in that film? Was it any different to you, or did you just feel like, oh my gosh, it's that again, it's me again?
Yeah, I'll tell you what I really loved, and it was one of my favourite parts of the film, was the low camera footage that had been unseen, most of it, because you always have a camera down pitch side and you use it for certain shots, but it just gave a sense of the frenetic start to the match where it was 100 mile an hour. I mean, the ball, you felt sorry for it, never got a rest, and the crunching tackles, and you could almost feel them with that low angle camera. And the other thing that made me chuckle was people were piling into each other, and the lad that had been tackled, that he's in a heap, he just gets up, brushes himself down, and gets on with it. And you just forget that used to happen, because obviously now that lads are rolling around and squealing, and it does make you a bit nostalgic for that time when lads wouldn't try and get a fellow pro into trouble, and they wouldn't try and con the ref. And yeah, that really brought it home, because people say how quick the game is now, and of course it is quick. It is quicker, but I mean that was 100 mile an hour, particularly in the first 15 minutes, and yeah, plenty of juicy tackles flying in.
So we saw a little bit of the old Arsenal in the new Arsenal at the weekend. And remember, you can download 89 film now on DVD, Blu-ray, find it on digital. Go Google today. I think the film is officially out today, and we'll have some special stuff for you in the coming weeks from our friend Mr. Dixon. Why don't we talk about the man of the match? And Sophia and Amanda were having an argument at the weekend about who was man of the match. And I feel like Ian Wright kind of agreed maybe with Sophia, but why don't you girls sort this out with Alan here?
Yeah, see, I went for Mustafi and Amanda went for Ozil. So who do you agree with? Do you agree with me? Was Mustafi your standout player, or was Ozil like a lot of people thought, and the people who did our poll, was he your man of the match?
Well, I mean, there were a few candidates, weren't there? You've got to say, I said on Twitter the other day, I thought Koscielny was my man of the match, but probably in hindsight, the fact that Mustafi had been out, he's come back into the team for such a huge match, and when you have been out for a few weeks, physically, I mean, he must have been sucking in the first 10-15 minutes when he's trying to get his second win. But he's got real determination. I would probably give it Mustafi for the part. I mean, his goal was a superb header, and he put in some great blocks, and he did show those leadership qualities. I can understand why Mesut Ozil would have got some plaudits, because it was so much better than it has been, and he gave us what we all have been begging him to give us, kind of that commitment to the cause, funneling back, doing a job for the team, helping out his mate, getting his foot in. It was everything you would want from somebody who we know is outstandingly skillful and technical, and can do what he wants with the ball in that final third. And probably, a lot of people gave him man of the match because there was that big difference in what we've seen in the main and what we saw on Saturday. So, I can understand that. But now, of course, he's set the standards, and it's something George Graham always used to say to us. Once I've seen you at your best, I'll be demanding that I know you can't always reach that top level, but I'll be demanding you get pretty close, or at least you're trying your guts out to get pretty close. And I think that's something that Ozil's got to do now.
I come from an international background, and for me, because I was a fan from abroad, I kind of learned the history, and I kind of understood what the North London Derby is all about. But how do you think international players feel going into North London Derby? I mean, as a striker, I'm sure the pressure is really on. And Lacazette, I feel, started quite shaky in the weekend, and he had a few very bad first touches in front of the goal. I felt he wasn't very comfortable in the beginning until the game went on. But do you think that was down to nerves, or do you think that was more due to the international break?
Well, he got a couple of goals against Germany, didn't he? So,
Yeah.
confidence-wise, you wouldn't imagine there'd be too much of a problem. But I can remember my first derby, and the pace of it knocks you for six to start off with, and your head's spinning, and you've just got to get used to it. So maybe that played a part in what you think was a bit of a shaky start, but he certainly grew into it. I mean, the foreign lads, we think, well, maybe it doesn't mean as much to them, but once they walk out onto that pitch and they feel the atmosphere, plenty of people might have tried to tell them about it, but once they feel, because there was a massively extra buzz at the Emirates on Saturday, it was as good as I've remembered it. I can remember it for a long time. So once they feel that, and that pace of the opening stages, that they soon come to realise that this is something different, this is something special, and you either react to that and step up to the plate, or you just kind of get crowded out and disappear. Thankfully, most of the Arsenal lads, all of the Arsenal lads, stepped up to the plate.
Alan, when you look at that, you say every Arsenal player stepped up to the plate, and I think we're all in agreement with everything you just said in terms of atmosphere. I mean, seeing Ozil's sliding tackle, it was just beautiful to watch, and it seemed like Wenger and your old teammate Baldy really got them up for this. To me, it's the only explanation I can find when we've got this elevated performance, that it comes from the coaching staff really preparing the team and getting them G'd up. Do you agree with that? And I guess the other question to that is, why is it we can't do the same more consistently? I'm just wondering if it's a coaching thing or a player thing. Where do you sit with that?
I don't think it's a coaching thing. I think it comes from within and from the team together. I think it was an interesting situation, really, because all those composite teams, at most 2 Arsenal players got into the best of, and that's quite a rare thing. And Arsenal, I think the lads went into the match thinking, well, we're second favourites here, when so many times in the past they've been favourites at home against Tottenham, and maybe they felt they had a point to prove, and they weren't going to be able to just play their game in their own time. They had to step it up, and they had to be a bit more aggressive to try and match an excellent Spurs team, normally excellent Spurs team. And they did just that. So, yeah, of course, in the dressing room beforehand, Baldy would have been getting into the boys just to make sure they started properly, because, as you girls know, Arsenal don't always start as quickly as they should do. They certainly did on Saturday. And Arsene Wenger, likewise, big game for him, wasn't it, after the defeats this season and coming off the Manchester City one. So that would all have contributed. But, I think you've got to give the players credit for really responding to the occasion.
So, you was talking about, the fact that we don't have a Tony Adams anymore. You sounded like you was quite impressed with Mustafi. Do you think he could be a potential captain?
Yes, possibly. Yeah. I saw his post-match quotes as well. He seemed quite angry. He was giving the press some stick, and he's quite bullish, quite outspoken. It's difficult to say when you haven't seen somebody like that in the dressing room and how he's behaving. You just get it second hand. But it sounds like, he's not shy in coming forward. So in a team that's not there's not too many candidates in there to be captain. Obviously, Per Mertesacker's dipping out, isn't he, at the end of the year? And he might well be somebody that Arsene Wenger would turn to. I mean, it looked like he might even leave, didn't it, in the summer? But I was surprised when I heard that kind of rumour because I felt there was a defender there that could serve Arsenal well.
So, we're all happy that we won the North London derby, which is great. It's always brilliant doing one on our neighbours. But do you think it's a sad indictment that we're getting excited about it when Tottenham are still above us in the league and they're playing in the Champions League while we're in the Europa League?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's one season, isn't it? And Arsenal, we've had 20 odd. So a lot of talk about shifts in power, wasn't there, beforehand, and you can't even mention that really until 5 years down the line if Spurs are still doing what they did last year. But yeah, Arsenal have just the lads have got to suck it up and do their best in the Europa League. They've done a pretty good job so far with kind of a second string team more often than not. Who knows who's going to finish above who at the end of the season? We all thought that it'd probably be Spurs. I think there's still a question mark about their form at Wembley. Their last home game, Crystal Palace could easily have won it. They do concede more chances now at Wembley, I think, than they would have at White Hart Lane. So they've got to get through that. And hopefully for Arsenal, they can kick on from this result now. I mean, it would be devastating if the next game or two they went back to less than top standards and they were a little bit lethargic. They've got to make the most of this and hopefully get back into that top four. I think that would be Arsene Wenger's first ambition this season. Yes, of course he wants to win a trophy. He wants to get back into a Champions League spot though. I'm sure he's desperate for that.
Now, Twitter went into meltdown and social media went into meltdown about 8 days ago when they found out that the ref was going to be Mike Dean. There's this common misconception, I should say, that he favours Tottenham. Now, weirdly, I was at City away 2 years ago when Dean was the ref and everyone was kicking off then. He actually he refereed that game perfectly for us and we beat them. That's not because of him, but he refereed it fairly. After watching a lot of the programmes, especially with like Neville and Carragher and my friends are ref, I've changed my views on referees, but last week I said to everybody that Mike Dean would be our 12th man and we're not going to lose the North London derby because of him. Now, we had some controversial decisions on Saturday that when you're at the game, as Sophia and I were, we didn't realise they were controversial. What do you feel on them both? I mean, for instance, it was soft for the free kick. That's what I thought. What did you think?
Yeah, I thought it was. I mean, originally, when I saw it in real time, I thought, he's poked the ball away. But then you look at the replay of Mike Dean and he's saying, no, it was a tug of the shirt on the shoulder. Well, it wasn't that. It was kind of an arm across the chest. No, I don't think it was a foul. But listen, you get these, you don't get them. And it's Tottenham's duty to defend the free kick. So, the award of the free kick wasn't the reason that we got that early goal. It was a good delivery and an excellent header from Mustafi. And, I don't go along with all these conspiracy theories about refs.
No, nor do I.
No, they're all trying to do their job. And I know supporters look at it in a certain way and he's against us and he's better for us. It's just the way the cookie crumbles. And, Mike Dean's not my favourite. I think sometimes when he comes to decisions that I don't agree with, sometimes it's the way he interacts with players, rubs me and I think players up the wrong way at times. But, he was fine. He was fine at the weekend. I can have no complaints about his performance.
I haven't actually had the pleasure of watching you play because I was not born yet, but
makes me feel old.
Sorry, no.
That's okay, I am old.
No, but basically, I've been hearing a lot that Giroud. People always say Giroud is an untraditional striker, and they compare him to you a lot. And I feel like he's a very underappreciated striker. And considering he's had 100 goals for the club, and still he gets abused. I feel it's really unfair and I feel like he needs a lot more appreciation as a player who is considered not a traditional striker. How do you feel you compare to Giroud?
Well, there aren't many round of that sort of Olivier's style, and when I was playing that target man role, there were lots. It was the trend. Quite often you'd have a big man and a smaller man. I started my career with Gary Lineker, and he'd feed off me. I'd flick the ball on. You don't have that quite so much these days. And Arsene Wenger did compare him to me, which I take that as a big compliment. You look at Olivier's goal record for Arsenal and also for France; it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And what I would say is how Tottenham would love to have a backup of the quality of somebody like Giroud. I mean, Harry Kane wasn't quite at it the other day, and they haven't really got anybody. They tried to bring in Janssen last year, and he couldn't quite hit the mark. So it's so hard to get a striker like Giroud, who's not playing every week, but to keep him motivated, to keep him happy. I mean, I'm sure he's not entirely happy. Of course he's not. But when he does come on, he does a job. His attitude's right. And I think it's so hard to get somebody like that, of that quality and attitude, who when called upon, will do, what the manager is asking of him. Spurs would love that.
I've always wondered this. Would you fit into Arsene Wenger's team now? And if you thought you could, who would you want feeding you the ball?
Well, I used to love crosses played whether it was in the air or across the face of goal in the 6-yard box. I love getting across my marker at the near post. So I'd want people getting down the sides. In the way that Giroud would and does. I mean, obviously Mesut Ozil, when he's on the ball, he can slip it through a letterbox, the gap. He's got fantastic vision. We don't play with those kind of wingers anymore. I had a great relationship with Brian Marwood in 88, 89, and he'd just swing the ball in sometimes without trying to beat his fullback, and I knew what he was going to do, and I knew it was going to come early, and I could make my move. We don't really play in that way now, do we? It's more coming through the middle, but anything out wide, I'd be grateful for.
You are listening to Highbury and Heels. We have Arsenal legend Alan Smith with us on today. This is rocking and we are loving it. There are plenty of Arsenal fans, not only in the UK, of course, but from all corners of the earth. And Alan, we opened it up to the Gooner Nation to get in some questions that they would love to ask you, because they just really don't ever get the opportunity. And I believe we're starting off, Seema, with someone in Lebanon. Is this correct?
Yes, we have, actually she's one of my good friends. Her name is Nisreen Wazan. She's actually a basketball coach, and I hope I get this right and she won't kill me, but I think she also has a FIFA certificate, and she's a huge Arsenal fan, and she has a question for you.
Hello Alan, how are you? It's Nisreen from Lebanon. My question for you is, as an Arsenal legend and one of the few players who scored more than 100 goals for the club, do you feel strikers prior to the Wenger era do not take enough credit for their accomplishments from our fan base? And compared to your playing days, how much easier is it now to score 100 goals for the club, with the flowing football that we play, the defenders being less aggressive, and strikers being surrounded by creative players such as Ozil, Cazorla or Fabregas?
Well, I would hope we got the credit in my time. Obviously, credit comes with winning football matches and winning trophies, and we did that, and we got our fair share of pats on the back in the media. So I don't think there's a question of that. It was a more physical game then, in terms of tackles from behind from defenders, which were outlawed. I don't know what year they were, but before that, you used to get some real whacks from some burly old defenders. These days, yeah, you'd probably say that there are more technically gifted players who are capable of setting up and seeing an early pass. More so, because I just made that point about wingers, and that's what I would feed off. But those players you mentioned, Ozil and Cazorla, I just hope can come back pretty soon and come back to being the player that he was, because he's a wonderful footballer. Even somebody like Jack Wilshere, when he's on song, wonderful in the final third. Different game now, much different. But it's the most precious commodity. If you can put the ball in the net, that's the hardest thing to do in football. Always has been, always will be. Defenders today, probably they're a bit quicker than they used to be. But maybe as a back four, for instance, they're not always as organised as a unit as some of the older defences were. I mean, obviously we had the fantastic back four at Arsenal under George Graham. Sometimes they play too much as individuals these days, and there's too much of an accent on being a ball player. Oh, he's got to be able to come out with the ball, take it off the keeper when he's under pressure, that kind of thing. Whereas some managers might lose sight of, well, he's got to defend first and foremost. That's his job. Never mind about being very silky and elegant on the ball. So the game has changed. Move on. It's much different, but at the end of it, it's still the target. The objective is the same: putting the ball in the net, and that's why strikers, are so valuable, cost so much money.
So I've got another question from a gentleman on Twitter. He's called Pete at the PA Gooner, and he asks, Lacazette has only played one full 90-minute game. How do you think he feels about this, and how would you feel being a sub every game?
Yeah, I mean, when your number goes up, you're disappointed, especially on Saturday when he played well. I don't know if he was feeling it. He didn't appear to be struggling physically. There's no reason why he should have been. It's a strange one, isn't it? I mean, obviously he's not played in some big games this season, but he's a record signing. He's the record goal scorer. He's the top scorer. So I don't know what it is. Whether Arsene Wenger feels he still needs to ease him in. He doesn't want to push him too much. They would have had chats about it. Who knows what that conversation, how that's gone, but no player really wants to get dragged off, and especially get dragged off on a consistent basis like Lacazette has. I mean, as the season goes on, maybe that will fade out and he'll start playing more 90 minutes. There's no reason why he shouldn't.
I often wonder how that Liverpool and Man City result would have ended had he started, Alan.
Yeah, well, we'll never know, will we? We'll never know. In hindsight, you get criticised for things. If Arsenal had won at Liverpool or won at Man City and not started Lacazette, it's a stroke of genius from Arsene Wenger. It's all about the result.
It's true. Right then, our final fan question. It comes from @Lacagunman. So good time because obviously he's a fan of Lacazette. But this one's a little bit of a twist. How does it feel to be the first guest on Highbury Heels? And if there's one person you could accompany to an Arsenal game, past or present, dead or alive, who would it be?
Oh, God, that second bit's a tough one. It's an absolute honour. It's an honour and a privilege to be the first guest on here. Don't know why you chose me, but I'm very kind. I'm very pleased about it. I hope I can set a good standard. But,
we all wanted you, Alan. We all wanted you.
Yeah. Who would I want with me to go to a football match? Oh,
me.
Well,
me.
You go to enough. I mean, it sounds sentimental, but I'd want my dad to go with me because he's passed away now. And like most footballers, the parents and quite often the dads were their kind of strength, their rock, who would ferry them about, take them to games. And he went to his fair share when I was at Leicester and Arsenal, but I'd love to go and watch one more game with Dad, I think, because he loved the sport, played it as an amateur, and he absolutely loved watching me play. It was great for my dad. I played for England, and for him to be up in the stand and seeing his boy with a number 9 shirt on for the country and the national anthem playing, I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. And to see me be successful at Leicester and then the step up at Arsenal, I mean, him, Mum and Dad, on the summer that I signed, when I signed in the March, and in that summer they thought, we're going to have a little drive down to Highbury and just find out where Alan's going to be playing his football and kind of get the route sorted out. And they went down there with two friends of theirs, another couple, and they kind of walked up the steps at the main entrance on Avenel Road, and they knocked on the door there, and Paddy Gallagher answered it. Paddy was the odd job man that's always there, part of the furniture. And and Dad introduced himself, and Paddy said, "Oh, come in and have a look around." And he showed them around the dressing rooms and down the tunnel, quick look at the pitch, and they were stood in the bath, the big bath in the home dressing room. They had the pictures taken, and
wow,
it was a brilliant start to my career in a way at Arsenal. That kind of friendliness that always existed at the club, and hopefully still does.
Alan.
Yeah.
We know something about you.
Oh, do you? Is it good?
Yeah. It's always good. We know that you're celebrating something this week.
I am.
So we want to wish you a happy birthday. Girls, are you ready?
Yeah.
we're ready.
On 3. 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday,
Mr. Smith. Happy
birthday to you.
Whoa! Oh, that's very nice. Lovely harmonising there, girls. Lovely.
It's a little bit Marilyn Monroe-ish.
I thought that. Yeah.
Right.
I'm getting on the phone to Simon Cowell as soon as I come off.
Not any of us should give up our day jobs, to be honest.
Maybe not. But I appreciate it. That was a very nice thing to do. Thank you. Yeah, it's tomorrow, actually. Tomorrow.
Okay, girls, I'm so happy that Alan got that we were trying to do Marilyn from that, because from where I was hearing, it sounded pretty, loose. I'm not sure I would have got that we were trying to do Marilyn. Maybe one of those dodgy people on X Factor, Alan. I don't know.
Well, no, I appreciate the sentiment. It was lovely.
Well, we appreciate you coming on the podcast. We've already hogged you way longer than we promised you that we would. Would you promise to come back on next year as the season goes on so we can catch up again with you?
Yeah, no problem, of course. I've enjoyed it. It's been great, and I wish you all the best with it. I'm sure it'll be a big success.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Really, really appreciate it.
Take care.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
How epic was Alan Smith, girls?
He was fantastic.
He was amazing.
He always is.
I know. He's so lovely. He's so lovely. I know where I'd have him in a Snog, Marry, Avoid section. But anyway, before we get to that, Seema, who tirelessly helps run our social media section, but also I say that because Amanda is kind of a Twitter fiend, by the way. But we always get so many great notes from fans who are listening and listeners, fellow Gooners. We're all in the same boat. We all love the Arsenal. So Seema has a little social in 140 seconds for us. Bit tasty.
Yes. So I'm going to be picking out 3 different tweets or 3 things that were happening in social media this week. First thing I have to first bring up, after the North London derby, we had Hector Bellerin with his Say No More and Come On You Gooners, and he was wearing that ring in his with his forefinger, and he had his long hair, and which I don't really like, but whatever.
He thinks he's a style guru, that's why.
Thing is, I think he is. To me, I don't like his style, but
Is he a wannabe? Is he a wannabe fashionista, or is he a fashionista?
Wannabe for me.
I think he's a bit of both. I think his girlfriend is a model, and I think he's gotten into that, like fashion world, but I don't like his style at all, especially right now.
Ever since he got the ponytail. Yeah, exactly. So ever since he got the ponytail, he's gone large. He's gone real large.
Go to his head.
And by the way, he said Say No More, and he put Come On You Gooners, he put the red, and he's wearing blue.
Yeah. Bit of a colour faux pas.
Yeah. Another thing we have to, it's impossible to not mention this, but Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Lions don't recover like humans. I don't know. I love him. Even when he was doing the interview, he said it and he was laughing. He kind of knows that this is his persona and he knows that this is what people love. It's really funny. Even Pogba started laughing at it. I love that.
Do you know what that was so great about that? To be able to come up with a one-liner like that when you're being interviewed live after a game, it just shows you his personality. I know he's arrogant, but he wears his arrogance a little bit differently to Ronaldo, doesn't he? It's more endearing.
He's smart. He's very smart.
He's likable too. I like Zlatan. You know, there's certain players.
When he scored against us, AC Milan, I hated him. Then it was my birthday, but yeah.
I think he's a bit cheeky with it, where Ronaldo's a bit smug. You know, I think he's got that cheeky sort of look at me cockiness, which I quite admire.
Yeah.
I don't think I could dislike him unless he scores against us, of course.
Totally agree.
And the last tweet was Gooners in USA podcast, who are
my favourites. Go on.
Yeah. I found this tweet very weird. Sophia loved it, but
I thought it was hilarious.
Hashtag Ask Arsenal Divas. Here's the scenario for each of you. You go to the North London derby knowing if we win, we must do an Arsenal Fan TV interview completely nude. That includes Robbie. Do you root for us? Or do you suddenly wish for a draw? Like, I really couldn't answer that.
Okay, Seema, let me just give you some back history on this, okay? I've been on their podcast a few times and I'm friends with them. That is a piss take on me for the Premier Arsenal Fan TV, going to the North London derby. I'm going to kill him. But, yes. And he asks those questions on the pod. He gives you what ifs and you have to choose one. I had to choose one the other day about whether I'd let my son play for Tottenham. So he's not weird. He's funny. Okay.
Hilarious.
Oh,
totally hilarious. Right, Seema, did we acknowledge who got the game right?
We have 3 different people. We have Tomo Gooner, which is at THOMO_Rocky7. And he said 2-1 to the Arsenal. Lacazette, come on. And then we have Stevo, footy in it, and he said 2-1, Laka twice, and Kane. And then we have a very special shout out to myself.
Was that to yourself? Did you just say you're giving yourself a shout out?
A very special one as well.
Wow, pat yourself on the back. What did you do?
I said 2-1, but I guess the goal scorer is wrong. Lacazette, Monreal.
Hilarious. Right then, if you want to be part of the show, get stuck in and send us all of your thoughts, your tweets, Facebook, Instagram. Seema, where can everyone find us?
On Twitter, it is at Highbury Heels. On Facebook and Instagram, it's Highbury and Heels.
Okay, perfect. So don't forget, you can reach us 24/7. Shop is always open. I guarantee Amanda will always be up to respond to every single
Excuse me. I can't help it if people like to chat with me.
They love you, and we love you too. Now, listen, I can't guarantee you, Gooner Nation out there, people listening, how this next segment is going to go. It's new. Right, it's the inspiration of Queen Gooner over there in South London. So I'm going to let her take it away. And I'm just, as I said, it comes with a bit of a warning. There'd be that black screen that says we are not responsible for what happens next. Children under the age of 15 should not be listening. There you go. Soph, who are you?
Okay, so I've created this little game called How May I Assist You? And it's in honour of my current favourite Arsenal player, Mesut Ozil, the so-called assist king. Now, over the years, Arsenal have scored many famous goals, Anfield 89 being one of them, Amanda. But what I want to know is who supplied the assist. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to tell you who scored the goal, but I want you to tell me who gave the assist. If you don't get it straight away, I'll give you a number of clues. If you think you've got the answer, girls, say stop and I'll say your name and you tell me who you think it is. If the answer's wrong, I'll ask the other ladies for a guess. If they don't know, I'll move on to the next clue. I've got 6 clues.
Wait, are you going to give us the year?
I'm not telling. Look, just listen to wait till I've finished telling you the rules of the game. Anyway,
play along,
Seema,
right? Everyone should be playing along with us as they're listening.
You can be screaming at the pod if needs be, because I'm sure you will be when they don't get it after. Anyway, I have 6 clues. If you don't get it by the end of the last clue, honestly, you're so rubbish, but you should do. But whoever wins, that's a point to them. We're going to do this hopefully all season. And at the end of the season, I'll decide what you lot may get if you win. Anyway, you got it, girls?
Yep.
I've got it.
Okay.
I think I have.
So with the North London derby in mind, I thought I'd go for a North London derby goal. So in 2002, Thierry Henry ran from one end of the pitch to the other and scored an amazing goal against our hated rivals. But who got the assist?
So this is where we should have had that Jeopardy music where it goes.
Yeah.
Now stop.
Wait, wasn't that a solo goal?
Yeah, that was a solo goal.
No, but somebody did the pass to him.
Oh, you're naughty.
Oh, of course that's why I did it.
Stop.
Amanda. Oh,
Was it
no,
a goalkeeper?
Sophie.
What?
I hope you googled it.
No, I haven't.
No.
You can't say the goalkeeper. You have to say the name.
No, but she could say the goalkeeper. Well, the goalkeeper.
If the goalkeeper did it, then so
Was it Lehman or was he not in goal in 2002? I can't remember. I'm useless.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You have to say the name. Otherwise...
None of you've got it.
So I know. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Don't
stop.
Google it.
You can't Google it.
No, I'm not Googling anything. I'm sitting here. Wait, who's Googling? Who's got time to Google during the show?
Right, somebody say stop or I'll give you another clue.
Stop.
Sophie.
Okay, so it's all coming back to me.
No, you can't do that. Just tell me.
Oh, then I don't know. Sorry.
Who did you just say?
I just remembered the scenario. I think it was from a throw-in.
No,
that's what I think.
It's not.
Okay.
Okay. First clue. He was born on the 23rd of June, 1976.
Oh, as if we're going to know that one. Next clue.
Wait.
You can guess.
I know.
Stop.
Laurent.
That's
Laurent.
it. You've guessed. No, wrong.
In 76 was he born? That's only 6 years after me.
Okay.
1976.
Right, next. Oh, Stephen, do you want to guess?
No. I'm just thinking out loud.
Okay.
This is where you need to be mute.
Oh my God! Right. In May 2010.
God, I'm not even drinking today. Oh! I know. Stop.
In May 2010.
Stop.
Seema.
I said stop.
Seema.
Patrick Vieira.
Yes!
What
Remember?
Oh my gosh. Patrick Vieira.
Right, let me give you all the clues. The clues were, in May 2010, he was nominated United Nations Goodwill Ambassador of Food and Agriculture. Clue number 3 was his first club was FC Traps. Clue number 4, he made his Cannes debut at the age of 17 and became captain at 19. Clue number 5, he joined Arsenal from AC Milan. And clue number 6, he was born in Dakar, Senegal.
Oh, I would have got it then.
Yes. And then clue number 7, if it would have been that I interviewed him, I really would have got it then. I mean, I totally would have got it then.
Yeah,
but that was okay. So I'm going to give us a 7 out of 10. It didn't go as badly as I had thought. What do you guys think? A round of applause for the Highbury Heels girls for the first ever How May I Assist You?
Yes. I'm
This
impressed
was the
with
part I was most
Seema.
nervous about.
I'm impressed with Seema.
I know my money was on Amanda to get that big time, and I laid down $10 to myself and I lost. So anyway, right then, if you love How May I Assist You, let us know. Maybe you have a suggestion for an assisted Arsenal goal that we could play on a future show. That would be brilliant, right?
Yeah.
Now, a game that we have played before, and look, we love to have fun on Highbury Heels. We had the legend that is Alan Smith on. We've spoken to a bunch of guests. We're going to have amazing guests coming up in the future. But we also like to have a little fun because you know why? Our fun always circles back to the Arsenal somehow. This is a game that you guys love and you've told us that you'd love to hear more of. So, Amanda, how about a little Snog, marry, avoid?
Well, now, I thought, bearing in mind we've just played the scum, that let's do something relevant to that. girls, you've got a choice. I'm going to start with you, Seema, okay? Snog, marry, avoid. William Gallas, David Bentley, or Emmanuel Adebayor?
Ooh, I can see where you're going with those choices.
I know, aren't they brilliant? All by myself.
Oh, really? Yeah? Huh? Yeah?
Seema's time. Seema, this is where I'm in charge for about 20 seconds.
Okay. So I would avoid Gallas.
Okay.
I would snog Bentley. And weirdly enough, I would marry Adebayor because I feel like he would be a lot of fun. I feel like he's really funny. I know. We're supposed to hate him and all that stuff, but he is funny.
Anyway, that's why there was silence after that little bit. Just
whatever. Okay, so I would snog Gallas because once I've done it, I never have to see him again. Plus, I'll be washing my mouth out with soap for a month and soap and water for a month, should I say? I would marry David Bentley. I'm presuming he still looks quite cute, and I can whip him into shape over the next few years. And I would avoid Adebayor because I managed to avoid him the whole time I worked on the World Cup in South Africa, and I will continue to do so.
Soph?
Listen, Amanda, I'm going to have to agree with my girl Queen Guna over there. There's no way. Listen, I'm going to snog Gallas, but I'm going to do it having drank Seema's drinks, like whatever she was serving on last week's podcast. I'm doing that before I snog Gallas. I'm going to marry David Bentley because he's really good at DIY, and you always need a handyman around the house. And I'm going to avoid Adebayor because I don't even need to say or explain why to the Guna Nation.
Well, mine are a bit different, actually.
Surprise.
Well, no. Emmanuel Adebayor, avoid with a capital A. I just don't even want to go. So I think we're pretty in, conjunction with each other.
He's really nice.
No, he's not Seema. He ran half the length of the pitch at City to have a go at our fans.
He was really nice. Okay,
I
doesn't matter.
don't care.
I'm with Amanda.
This is my snog, a merry avoid.
I'm with Amanda.
I actually can't stand him. Right. Now, the next ones was a bit awkward, but David Bentley, because he's cute, and as I said before, when you get married, you don't snog. So I can snog David Bentley for a long, long time. William Gallas I would marry, and I tell you what. Yes.
Wow.
You can't marry everybody. I have a reason. First of all, the French accent. I'm sold. Second of all,
Amanda.
Exact. Sophie, ça va bien.
Voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce soir?
Ce soir, yes. William. And the fact that I could marry him, and the fact that he's got passion. You need passion when you get married. So, avoid Adebayor, snog Bentley, marry Gallas.
Not bad. I have to say that it was interesting, the choices this week. Players who have been at Arsenal and Tottenham. But what a weekend it was. And unfortunately, it's come to that time where we have to say au revoir, especially for Amanda there.
Listen to you.
Hello. Bonjour. It has been monstrous, hasn't it? Don't you wish every weekend could be like that with the Arsenal girls?
We do.
We have a couple important games coming up, and in 10 seconds with each of you, would love a prediction. We've got the Europa League game against the Germans, and then we have Burnley, who they're on equal points with us in the Premier League right now. Sean Dyche is having an amazing season, being touted for bigger jobs. So who have you got? Seema, both games.
For Burnley, because Czech had a clean sheet, I want to continue with a clean sheet. I will say 3-0. For Cologne, I will say 2-1.
Amanda?
1-1 in both games.
What?
You, unlike Amanda going for like the board draws.
No, I'm just being realistic. I've told you, I'm realistic.
All right, Sophia, what you got, babe?
So I think Cologne away will concede because they'll send the kids. So I think it'll be 2-1. We'll win. Burnley, I agree with Amanda. I think we'll draw. I don't think we're going to win that. They're on a good run. So 1-1.
You love a draw, Sophia.
I do love a draw.
I think we'll tie in Germany 2-2, and I fancy the Gunners bringing Burnley down to earth a little bit. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win. Well, listen, we hope you've enjoyed today's show. Alan Smith has been immense, and we've got tons of brilliant guests coming up in the near future. Seema, let everybody know where they can find us on social media one more time.
So on Twitter, it's Highbury Heels. On Facebook, it's Highbury and Heels. Highbury and Heels. And on Instagram, it's Highbury and Heels. The rest you'll find on our Twitter feed. Once we post the pod, you'll see the YouTube, SoundCloud, and iTunes accounts as well.
Excellent. Football, soccer, call it what you want. Just get stuck in, get involved, grab a squad number. We love listening from you. And don't you ever forget, Amanda.
Always Arsenal.
Au revoir.